Okay, so I want you to set up for paint, watercolor paint just like this. You've done this before. Somebody needs to pause the video, and when you get back with your palette, these are your own brushes. 2 waters, pink labeled is watercolor only. You may use those. All on a tray with a double set of paper towels and a color wheel. Come back and restart the video. You're gonna rip the paper towels in half. This one's gonna get folded twice. Put here as your blotter. This is your emergency paper towel that you're gonna use for cleanup if you need it. All right, the only colors that we're gonna use today are the primary colors. So you're not gonna use the orange, the green, the purple, or the black and white in here, because I want you to see how watercolor paint actually mixes, or how actual pigments mix. When we mix red and yellow together, we are not going to get the same orange that is in this tray. This is another pigment. So you can use either of these round brushes that you have, whichever one you think you feel most comfortable with. Just a reminder, this is your dirty water, so you're going to rinse here first. This is your clean water, because your brush is going to pick up any pigment that's in your water, and so you want to make sure that you have a dirty water and a clean water. So this is the main rinse. This is the one that you're going to use to activate your watercolor paint. Okay, a color wheel is like a clock. So we're going to put red at 12 o'clock. You're going to wake up your watercolor paint with water, and then with a lot of pigment, you're going to go ahead and paint in this trapezoid, and go ahead and do this as fast as you can. You might be ahead of me. I know this is a review activity, but as we do this, you are going to be thinking in a more advanced way about this, because you're going to be thinking about these pigments actually mixing together and not just making the color wheel. Okay, so yellow is going to go down here at 4 o'clock, because we need to skip 3 spaces in between so we can put secondary and tertiary colors in here. Okay. And then finally, at 8 o'clock, we're gonna put blue. I know, I bet you already knew that that's where we were gonna put blue. And we wanna use a lot of pigment. These aren't professional watercolors, but try to make a nice dark color there. Okay. So now we need to mix. First, we're going to mix the secondary colors. The secondary color is a mixture between a primary, 2 primary colors make a secondary color. So we're going to mix red and yellow, and red is going to be a lot more powerful than yellow. So this is not going to be 50-50, and we're going to mix right here on the tray. You can mix over here. These are my own watercolor paints that somebody in my house didn't clean up, which is fine, but I'm going to mix on the tray. And as you can see, I'm gonna need more yellow than I am red by a whole lot, because yellow is by far the weakest color of the primaries. So let's see if I can get an orange that I think is a medium orange. Nope, no way, now I've got too much yellow. So go ahead and mix this into what you consider to be a medium orange, and then paint it on there. And then we're gonna turn this color into a red orange and a yellow orange. So we're just gonna add some yellow to part of it. Make sure it's nice and different than what we have here. And the struggle is real, that as you mix colors, you're also incorporating water. So you have to figure out how to use as little water as possible in order to have nice vibrant colors, and you might have to remix. Okay, I'm not crazy about that. That needs more yellow. So if I mix all these together, still not happy. But you have in your mind what these colors should basically look like. And color is relative just like value. So we want to make sure that this is more orange than the red, and that this is more yellow than the orange, etc. So then we can do either of these colors. I'm going to do green. I'm not going to use my green pigment. I am going to use my yellow paint. And my blotter will tell me what I actually have on my brush. Okay, so that's clear, but you can see I've had red on there before and yellow. Okay, so now I'm making green. I have to remind myself. All right, we're gonna mix a nice, try for a medium green. Now blue is the most powerful color. It is the most staining. Red's pretty bad, but blue is worse. So it's a little bit harder than you would think to get a nice medium green out of this. And that is the reality of pigment. This is why we need so many of them, because we can't make every color with every red, blue, and yellow. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some blue to this, turn it into a turquoise color. I'm gonna swatch it, make sure I have enough difference. All right, that's good enough. Kind of a turquoise. And I'm gonna add yellow to this. So I'm just jumping off of the colors that I've already made. I don't need to remix every time because color is relative. So when I change a color to go towards another color, then that's perfect for the color wheel. So now I have a yellow green and a blue green. And next we're gonna make purple. So we're gonna mix red and blue together. And we can just take a second to admire how magnificent it is that this thing goes into a wheel. I think that's astounding. That we can just simply make a visual representation of how colors relate to each other. It's amazing. All right, so there we got purple. And then I'm gonna change the purple. I'm gonna make a red purple. And put that in between the red and the purple. So you can see that every color I put down is a combination of the colors next to it. Yes, sure. And then we're gonna add blue, yeah, and try to make kind of a violet color. Okay, so there we've got a color wheel. So if the class is not finished, please pause the video and let everybody finish, and then we're gonna go on to the next activity, which is going to be to make a complement bar. So I'm gonna choose two colors that are complements of each other. And for this, if you choose a primary and a secondary, I don't really mind if you use the pigment for the secondary color that's included in your palette. That's okay, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna wipe this off to just kind of give myself some new space here. All right. I am going to choose red and green. So I'm gonna paint one of the sides. Hopefully you can see this. Let me check. Yep. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. I'm going to paint one of the sides red. And I'm going to paint the other side green. Now, some of you guys have made a complement wheel with me. We're going to try this instead, because the thing about making a complement wheel is that it has to be symmetrical on both sides, and I think that's a little bit confusing. So we're going to see how this goes. I'd love your feedback. All right, so these are the two colors that we're going to try to mix gradually together in order to lower the intensity. So we could do this any way we want. We can mix red and green together and try to come up with an intermediate color and put that in the middle. Actually, you know what? I made this hard for us because this is an even number, so I don't have a middle. All right, more challenge. Okay, so I'm gonna start with green, and I'm gonna put a lot of green pigment here. And remember, as soon as I mix this green with anything, the intensity lowers. Because the most intense version of any color is the pure pigment, straight out of the bottle, or the pan, as the case may be. So I'm gonna put a dot of red. This might be too much red actually, but I'm gonna put a dot of red in here and just lower the intensity a tiny bit. Let's see if I paint this on here. That's an imperceptible amount. So I've gotta make it a little more dull. It's gotta be visibly more dull, but I still want it to retain a strong green color. Okay, I'm happy with this. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but this is slightly less intense than the original color up here. Okay? So then I'm gonna add some more red. And I want it to retain its green. See, that's too far probably. That one needs to go like somewhere down here. You see how it's gray? It's almost completely lost its intensity. So let's go back up a step. And you guys do this with me. You get the idea, I'll paint, you guys paint. We'll get this done. All right, let's see where we are. That's probably good for this one. I'm gonna paint this one. We'll see. I might have to repaint some things here to get it really stepping down, but the main purpose of this activity is to get practice thinking about and mixing complements together in order to lower intensity. For most of you, this is a completely new concept, and yet it's critical information when it comes to mixing color, and we are going to mix a lot of color in the next couple of weeks, because whenever we paint in color, we are mixing color. That is essentially the thing. So I want to make this darker. So you can also see how it's difficult to separate value from intensity, because I'm trying to just focus on the hue, but value, lightness and darkness is not going away here. I'm contending with that all the time. All right. Before we get towards the middle, I'm just gonna start here lowering the intensity of red. Just so that I can kind of get my bearings, because just like value, intensity is relative. So here I've got a little bit of green, and that's right, that's pretty good. That's a lower intensity of red than that original one. Okay, and then I already have green here, so I can just keep moving this red over. All right, there's lower intensity. That might be too low, maybe too low, because I still have to go 3 steps. So let's see if we can get somewhere a little brighter than this. Okay, that's pretty good. It's lower than the second bar, but better. Okay, you see that? That lower intensity. All right, now we gotta get serious here about getting into this gray area, because we're gonna run out of vibrancy altogether, hopefully by the middle. All right, not too bad, but I still need it to be a little bit red. I can't lose all the intensity. Now that one's too much the same, so I'm just gonna keep playing with this. So this is the activity. The activity is to lower the intensity, but only in a step. I still have to leave myself room for the rest of this. All right. Now, this one looks green, and look, this one looked a lot more gray, but now that I've got red coming towards it, it's actually appearing to be a lot more green, because complements make each other stand out. So this is all very interesting and very helpful to us. So, need to add more green to this red. But I still want this to be red, like just a tiny bit. It's got to be a little tiny bit red. No, it's the same. That's maybe worse actually. That's more red than I want it to be. All right, so I got to make a judgment here, but I want to be almost out of vibrance or intensity here in this one. That's okay. This one I can still see like a red undertone, and this one I'm losing it. Let's see if we can make this one almost completely colorless. Okay, that's too red. Now, if you'll notice, the other thing is, and this is why if you have tempera paint in front of you or any kind of, well, really any kind of paint, and you mix a secondary and a primary, you are essentially mixing all three primaries, because the opposite two primaries of this one have been combined to make this one. So we got red, and then the other two primaries, here, maybe you can't see this, we got red, the other two primaries are blue and yellow, and when we mix those together, we got green. So essentially, when we're adding a complement, we are adding the other missing primary colors of the three. And theoretically, all three primaries should give us gray. Some scholars think that Rembrandt mixed all the colors on his palette in order to mix black. He just like took whatever was left and mixed it together to get black, which is essentially mixing all of the colors together. And so that's how we get, that's how we can mix black and brown and dark colors without having to have black. I will not give you black in a palette because it just doesn't have the richness that a mixed black has. Anyway, but you're seeing what's happening here. So here's your complement bar. I like this better than the wheel. And this is gonna take you longer than it took me probably, but at least you understand the concept of the activity. Write your name on these with a pencil, and I am looking forward to seeing them, and we will do more color theory activities next week when I'm with you. I hope you guys have a great day.